Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so if you, the listener, have ever found yourself, putting off your real life, saying things like, oh, I just need to clear this debt, or maybe when the kids are older, or after this huge project is done, then I'll finally relax, then I'll start living properly. Well, this deep dive might feel like a bit of a necessary punch to the gut. We're digging into source material today from Embrace the Unending, Live Now. And our mission really is to pull out the key insights. And look, some of them are pretty uncomfortable insights on overcoming procrastination. Specifically, by taking apart this really corrosive belief that life will, eventually just settle down, become fundamentally different, easier, all resolved. The core idea in this source is that waiting for that, it's not just wishful thinking, it's an illusion. The source actually calls it a cognitive error.
Yeah, and it gets a pretty dramatic label, the masculine error. Now, before anyone gets too caught up on the words, the source seems to use masculine and feminine more like archetypal energies. Think structure versus flow, or effort versus maybe chaos. So the masculine error here is this deep-seated belief that one day it will all be done, that you'll finally reach some kind of permanent resolution, it's over. But the conflict is internal, right? Because we act like it's a finite task we can finish, and the source just flat out says it never ends. Life, as long as you're breathing, is this unending creative challenge.
Yeah.
It demands you engage, like, fully with now. You can't just schedule your way out of needing to put in the effort.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that a bit with specifics, because this waiting game, everyone plays it, don't they? What exactly are we waiting for? The source lists some really common ones, these insidious one-day thoughts. Like, we wait to rest after we've worked enough, whatever enough means. Or we wait for our partner to finally understand something, and then just stop complaining about it. Or maybe the biggest one, telling ourselves, look, I'm just doing this temporary thing, this obligation, so that one day I can finally do what I really want to do. It's always pushing it off, based on some fictional future where everything's easy.
And the danger, the reason this waiting is so bad, it's interesting. The source says every moment you wait isn't just wasted time. It actually degrades your clarity of purpose. Because if your whole focus is on the exit, the moment you can stop you automatically undermine the value, the energy you bring to what you're doing right now. Just think about it, right? If you believe you're just treading water until the real swim starts later, you're never going to give the water you're in right now your full attention, your full creative energy. The focus has to shift away from resolution towards engagement. The real challenge is to, and I like this phrasing, tussle, play, and make love with the present moment, while at the same time giving your unique gift now.
Okay, so if step one is accepting there's no finish line, what's the immediate tool? The thing the source says we should use to force ourselves into the present? Because this leads straight to that action rule. Stop waiting. Start doing what you love or what you say you love right now. And they give us this pretty concrete metric. Let's call it the 1 hour rule. The instruction is kind of radical. Spend at least 1 hour minimum every single day doing that thing you're waiting to do. The thing you say you need more money for, or more security, or more time before you can start. Just do it. An hour a day. Regardless of the external stuff, you basically stop feeding that myth of the perfect, quiet one day.
And what's really fascinating here is how the author just tackles the excuses head on. The reasons we give for not doing that 1 hour, it's kind of a knockout blow, really. They basically say things like limited money, lack of security, even family stuff like waiting for the kids to leave home. They claim those things have never actually stopped someone who genuinely, truly wanted to do something.
Wait, hang on a second. That sounds a bit simplistic, doesn't it? Is the source just waving away real hardship? People have multiple jobs, serious childcare issues, real financial pressures. Are those not actual roadblocks?
That's a really important question. And the source does pivot slightly here. It acknowledges the circumstances are real, absolutely. But it reframes them. Those constraints, the money, the family duties, they're presented more as convenient excuses for what the source calls a lack of creative discipline. The argument is, if you are truly dedicated to giving your gift, you will find that hour somewhere, somehow. And if you don't find the hour, well, the source suggests maybe that reveals you're not really up to the creative challenge in the first place. You're using the external situation as a shield, really, against the effort required. It forces you, the listener, to really ask yourself, is this thing truly stopping me, or is it just the story I tell myself when the work feels hard?
That is a punch to the gut, like I said.
Yeah.
But it does give you a clear way to test yourself. The source basically says, go spend at least an hour today giving your fullest gift, whatever that looks like for you. The aim is that when you go to bed tonight, you can honestly say, okay, I couldn't have lived today with more courage, more creativity, more giving, within that hour at least.
That hour becomes a real pressure test for your ambition, doesn't it? And the material warns you might face a really uncomfortable realization from this, almost painful. That test might just show you that your grand fantasy is like, well, this is, the future life where you write the novel, start the business, whatever it is. Maybe it is simply a fantasy because when you're forced to actually put in the time today, you find you can't, or maybe you just won't. The myth feels comforting, but the reality demands that immediate, often uncomfortable effort.
Right.
So if we take this core rule, the no finish line rule, and apply it now to relationships, which is a huge external challenge for many, the source uses the exact same uncompromising logic. If life itself never fundamentally changes, settles down, why would you expect your relationship to?
That makes sense as a transition. If we're supposed to stop waiting for external ease in work, we also need to stop waiting for internal ease in our main relationship.
Yeah.
So the advice becomes, stop believing, stop hoping that one day your woman will be fundamentally different.
Exactly. The advice is pretty blunt, designed to shock you out of that postponement habit again. Assume she is going to be however she is right now, forever. And this isn't just about small annoyances. The source clarifies the extremes. If her behavior is genuinely intolerable, like it violates your core values, your safety, then the advice is stark. Leave immediately. Don't look back. Because the premise is you cannot change her. That's the hard edge of acceptance.
Okay, but what about the more common stuff? The day-to-day friction, behaviors or moods that are just distasteful or a hassle. The things that spark everyday arguments, the stuff you're always trying to manage or fix.
Yeah, the source argues you still have to realize she will probably always seem that way in certain aspects, and it offers that specific perspective we mentioned. The feminine always seems chaotic and complicated from the perspective of the masculine. Again, using those terms as energies, it's suggesting it's not a problem you can solve or structure away. It's an inherent difference you have to navigate, not eliminate.
So the masculine energy wants to fix, to bring order, to finish the chaotic feminine energy.
Precisely. But the whole point of the book is that chaotic flow, that challenge, it never stops. So you can't win the game of fixing her into permanent ease or predictability.
Okay, so if fixing is off the table, what does this counterintuitive acceptance actually look like?
Yeah.
Like the next time you feel that strong urge to manage her, correct her behavior, jump in to fix it, what do you do? The instruction is surprisingly simple. Relax. Just let go of the need to bring an end to that specific thing that's bothering you right now.
And instead of fixing, the advice is to give her love, specifically by touching her, telling her you love her while she is being that way. The alternatives given are pretty energetic too, like fully embrace her, or even wrestle with her playfully, or get this, scream and yell for the heck of it. The point seems to be active engagement and magnifying love, not withdrawing or trying to control the situation.
Wow. Okay, so the core principle is make absolutely no effort to end the thing that bothers you. Practice love instead of trying to eliminate that quality you find frustrating.
Exactly. And the distinction they make is all about energy, really. Your frustration, your logical attempts to fix her, that comes from your desire for your own ease, right? You want it to stop so you feel better. The source says that energy will never actually realign her behavior long term. But, and this is the crucial part, the love you actively magnify, that acceptance, that unconditional presence, that energy might realign her behavior because you're suddenly addressing maybe an underlying need for connection or acceptance, not just reacting to the surface complaint. If change happens, it comes from that space of love and acceptance, not from your frustration or your attempts to manage her.
So zooming out, what's the big picture takeaway here?
If we want to live like a significant life, we have to stop putting off our commitment to our own gifts and also to our relationships in their current messy reality. The source sums up people who've had real impact pretty bluntly. They are people who never waited. Not for money, not for security, not for ease, not even for the right woman or the perfect relationship state. They built their lives right there in the messy, challenging middle, not in some quiet, resolved future they were waiting for.
Yeah, it really brings it back to that core choice for you, the listener, today. You're either living fully, giving your gift right now, in the midst of those challenges, even today, or you're just waiting for an imaginary future state that, according to this source, is never actually going to arrive. And the cost isn't just lost time, it's lost clarity, lost courage, lost presence. So the final instruction, it's immediate and powerful in its simplicity. Feel what it is you most want to give. As a gift to your partner, your family, the world. And then just do what you can, something, to give it today. Not when everything is perfect, not when the bank account looks better, but right now, today, in the middle of whatever mess you're in. Okay, just a super quick recap then of the two big myths we've tried to bust open today based on this material. First, the myth of completion that life will eventually be done, finished, and you can finally rest. And second, the myth of fundamental relational change that your partner will or must someday become fundamentally different, easier, quieter for you.
Right. And that leaves us with maybe one final thought for you to chew on. The source is really clear. The world and your partner, they will always throw unforeseen challenges your way. It's just the nature of things. So knowing that the challenges are actually unending, how does embracing that constant tussle, that creative engagement starting today, how does that fundamentally change your definition of what success even means? Or fulfillment? If success isn't the finish line, the rest you are waiting for, then what is it you're actually building, actually creating in this present moment? Something to think about until our next deep dive.